Welcome back, friends. My name is Okichiru Joshua Otazi, and I'm on ProLearn. Alright, friends, the last time we talked about the index and then the match function, and then I showed you how to use the index and match function together, and then I told you to fill up the remaining part of the table. And then, friends, if you remember what we did the last time, what we did was copy this formula in this revenue section, and then we pasted it over here, and then we changed the column number, and then we clicked on enter, and then we dragged it down for this entire column. And now that was the same thing we did for the country section. We had to be changing the column numbers that enters into this particular data set. Alright, friends, sometimes it might become tedious actually doing that procedure for the entire data set. Imagine me copying. I have a data set made up of multiple columns and multiple rows, and I'm copying this data set and pasting and going to edit the formula to insert the column number. It becomes very much tedious and it doesn't make sense doing that. So I want to teach you how to automate the process here in Excel. Alright, so friends, there's a way in which you can do this such that automatically Excel gets the column number. All right, so there's a better way in which you can do this. All right, so I'm just going to be showing you some of the way in which you can make life easier for yourself in helping you fill up this entire data set. All right, so the easiest way is I'm just going to highlight this over here just to show you. I'm going to insert a column right on top of this. So I'm going to right click and then click on insert. Now a column is going to get inserted on top of my data over here. All right, so what I want to do right now is to get the column numbers of these column headers. Alright, so I'm going to get the column numbers of this of these headers, so that by the time I'm copying and pasting the data set, I don't need to go and edit the data and then look for the number to change and all of those things. It doesn't make sense. Alright, so what I'm going to do right now is make reference to a particular column number, and then automatically once I get the column number for this under revenue, I get a column number over here, a column number over here. What Excel does is that once I try highlighting the cell over here, it makes reference automatically to the column number that is here, and then once I highlight here, it makes reference to this column number, and that's the way it's going to help us automatically detect the right column number and then fill in the data in our data set. Alright, so friends, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to delete all of these things I did manually by just copying and pasting the formula and then typing in the column number. Alright, so right now let's try and extrapolate the column number for this revenue section. So I'm going to use the match function. So the way I do this is to say equals to, and then I say match, and I'm going to just open my bracket, and then I'm going to decide the lookup value. Of course, the lookup value right now is going to be C25, which is this revenue section. I'm going to put a comma sign. Alright, so friends, the lookup array, I'm going to come to the data set, and I'm going to highlight the entire row for the header. Alright, so what I'm going to do right now is to lock this section. You know how we do this. So I'm just going to hold my function key and then press F4. Alright, so friends, now that I've locked this, and next thing I'm going to do right now is put a comma sign. Alright, so the next thing I want to do right now is decide whether I'll be using a less than, greater than, or exact match. Of course, I'm going to be using an exact match. I can just type in the number 0 over there, or I can just double tap on exact match, and then I close my bracket, and then I click on enter. Alright, so what Excel is telling me right now, concerning this my data set, the colon appears in column number 11. Alright, so this column appears in column number 11. Alright, so if I drag over down to the rightward, now down to the end of month sold. Alright, so you can see we have the various column numbers of our data set. For example, date sold exists in column number 7. I'm just going to show you an example. This is column number 1, column number 2, column number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so date sold exists in column number 7. Alright, so what Excel has done right now is give me the various column numbers. Alright, so right now I can come over to this formula which I've written over here. I just write in my index and then write the array of data sets. Then I wrote the row number. Alright, using the match function, which I've already explained earlier. Alright, so here I just typed in the number 11. Alright, so another way I could do this is instead of typing the number manually 11, I can just take this out, and then I'm going to make reference to this cell, alright, C26. Alright, so what Excel does is it automatically highlights this cell. Now if I click on enter, I still get the same answer. Alright, so this time around, if I just copy, I just come to the bottom right and then drag down. Sorry, I'm making a wrong reference. Alright, so friends, the next thing I'm going to do right now is I have to lock the cell. Alright, if not, you're going to be making a mistake. You can see the last time we dragged down, we didn't get the right answers because we had a poor cell locking in our data set. So this is like a matrix table, and so you have to dynamically lock your data set if you are going to have the right value. Alright, so what I'm going to do right now, friends, first of all, for B21, you know how we do this when we did the multiplication table using cell locking. Alright, so we are going to be applying the same thing. Right now you can see this blue icon here, B27, telling me this blue appears to, or it's making reference to Noel Key. Alright, so what I'm going to do right now is we have different name over here, but we have just one column, which is B. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock that column B and allow Excel to move throughout this entire data set along the row, but it's going to move along one column. Alright, so I'm going to just put a dollar sign at the back of B. I can just type in a dollar sign over there. I can use my F function F4 to keep pressing my function F4 until I get a dollar sign at the back of B. All right, so at this juncture, friends, now I've locked this particular section. Now the next thing I want to lock right now is the C26. All right, so here we have different columns, but just one row, and the row is 26. All right, but we have different columns over here. All right, so what I want to do right now is lock this row. That's put a dollar sign at the back of 26 and allow the columns to change. So I put a dollar sign at the back of 26 and then I press enter. All right, so friends, right now you can see that I've done the cell locking in a proper manner. All right, so if I come to this section now, the bottom right, and I drag, now I'm not going to get an error message. All right, so now that I've dragged it over here, I can just still come to this bottom right and drag down to this other section to the end, and you can see right now, friends, I get all my data sets populated in my worksheet. So right now I'm not getting an error message, and I'm filling in the data correctly and accurately as it relates to the data set. You can cross-check the data, look for the product ID of Eleanor Hopper, and I promise you, you're going to be getting Pura 500. You can look for the month sold, and everything here is going to be accurate as it relates to this data set. And that's how we are able to look up some values in our entire data set using the index and match function. That's how powerful the index and match function can be in your Excel worksheet. All right, so basically, friends, what we just did was we just used proper cell locking. All right, so you have to lock your cell properly. You can see this when we were done imputing the column numbers and then getting the row names. You can see that what we were left with was a proper cell locking. If you don't lock your cell properly, you're going to mistake, or you're going to make some mistake or compute the wrong multiplication matrix. All right, so for this multiplication matrix, I just locked the row and I allowed the column to change. That was why I put a dollar sign at the back of 26. All right, then for over here where we see the blue box, all right, so making reference to B27, I just put a dollar sign at the back of B, meaning I want it to be just a single column and multiple rows. So I'm going to lock the column and allow the rows to change, and that was why as I clicked on enter, I was able to get the right value. Now if I just drag down and drag to the end, definitely I'm going to be getting the right value. All right, so friends, that's basically how we fill the multiplication matrix, or should I call it, that's how we fill the data set using the index and match function. One other thing you want to do right now is, because sometimes you might get the people looking at this data confused, you have to specify that this is just a column number. All right, it's not part of the data. So I'm just going to type in inside here column number. All right, so friends, that's just one of the things you want to do when you're done with your data set. All right, so friends, without wasting much of your time, I'd like you to delve into your worksheet and practice what you've learned. Thank you.